On January 26, 2011, 27-year-old Ellen Greenberg was found dead in her Philadelphia apartment. What was initially ruled as her taking her own life has since become one of the most controversial and puzzling cases in true crime history. The circumstances surrounding her death have sparked debates, investigations, and a relentless pursuit for answers by her family and supporters. To this day, the question remains: did Ellen Greenberg take her own life, or was it a carefully concealed murder? Ellen Greenberg was a first-grade teacher, described by friends and family as vibrant, kind, and full of life. She had recently moved into an apartment in the Manayunk neighborhood with her fiancé, Sam Goldberg. By all accounts, Ellen was happy, excited about her upcoming wedding, and looking forward to the future. But on that fateful January day, Ellen's life came to a tragic and mysterious end. It was Sam who discovered Ellen's body. He had returned home from the gym to find her slumped against the kitchen cabinets, a knife protruding from her chest. The scene was gruesome, and the initial assumption was that Ellen had taken her own life. However, as the details emerged, questions began to arise. How could someone inflict 20 stab wounds on themselves, including wounds to the back of the neck and skull? And why were there no signs of a struggle or forced entry into the apartment? The medical examiner's office ruled Ellen's death as her taking her own life, but this conclusion was met with immediate skepticism. Forensic experts have since questioned whether such injuries are even physically possible in a self-inflicted act. Stabbing oneself multiple times in the back of the neck and head would require an extraordinary level of determination and physical ability. Additionally, there were no hesitation wounds, which are typically seen in self-inflicted stabbings. This raises serious doubts about the ruling. Ellen's family has always maintained that she was not in a state of despair. They describe her as happy and excited about her upcoming wedding. So, if Ellen didn't take her own life, who did, and why? The apartment showed no signs of forced entry, leading investigators to believe that Ellen knew her attacker. But with no suspects and no clear motive, the case quickly grew cold. Over the years, Ellen's family has fought tirelessly to have her case re-examined. They've hired private investigators, consulted forensic experts, and even petitioned to have her death certificate changed from self-inflicted to homicide. But so far, their efforts have been met with resistance. The Philadelphia Police Department and the medical examiner's office have stood by their original findings, despite the mounting evidence and public outcry. One of the most puzzling aspects of the case is the nature of Ellen's injuries. According to the autopsy report, Ellen sustained 20 stab wounds, including 10 to the back of her neck and head. These wounds were deep and precise, with no evidence of hesitation marks. Forensic experts have pointed out that it would be nearly impossible for someone to inflict such injuries on themselves, especially in the locations where they were found. The angle and depth of the wounds suggest that they were likely caused by another person. Another red flag in the case is the lack of a note. Ellen had no history of mental illness or previous attempts, and her family insists that she was not exhibiting signs of distress in the days leading up to her death. Her sudden and violent death has left her loved ones searching for answers. The timeline of events on the day of Ellen's death is also shrouded in mystery. According to Sam, he had left the apartment earlier that morning to go to the gym. When he returned, he found Ellen's body in the kitchen. But some have questioned the accuracy of this timeline, pointing out that there were no witnesses to corroborate Sam's account. Additionally, the knife used in the stabbing was reportedly found still embedded in Ellen's chest, which is unusual for a self-inflicted act. Ellen's family has raised concerns about the handling of the investigation. They believe that key evidence was overlooked or ignored, and that the police were too quick to rule her death as self-inflicted. For example, the apartment was not treated as a crime scene, and no forensic testing was conducted to determine if there had been a struggle or if anyone else had been present. This has led to speculation that the investigation was mishandled from the start. In the years since Ellen's death, her family has worked tirelessly to uncover the truth. Their efforts have brought new evidence to light, including witness statements and expert opinions that challenge the official narrative. But despite their persistence, the case remains unresolved. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence in the case is the testimony of Dr. Cyril Wecht, a renowned forensic pathologist. Dr. Wecht has reviewed the autopsy report and other evidence in the case, and he has stated unequivocally that Ellen's death was not a self-inflicted act. According to Dr. Wecht, the nature and location of the wounds are inconsistent with self-inflicted injuries, and he believes that Ellen was the victim of a homicide. Ellen's family has also pointed to inconsistencies in the official investigation. For example, the police report states that Ellen was found with the knife still in her chest, but the autopsy report makes no mention of this. Additionally, there were no fingerprints found on the knife, which is highly unusual if Ellen had indeed used it to stab herself. These discrepancies have fueled speculation that the investigation was flawed or incomplete. Despite the mounting evidence and public pressure, the Philadelphia Police Department and the Medical Examiner's Office have refused to reopen the case. They maintain that Ellen's death was self-inflicted, and they have dismissed the concerns raised by her family and experts as unfounded. This has left Ellen's loved ones feeling frustrated and disillusioned as they continue to seek justice for her. Ellen's mother has been one of the most vocal advocates for her daughter. She has spoken out publicly about the case, urging the authorities to take another look at the evidence. In interviews, she has described Ellen as a happy, loving person who had everything to live for. She has also expressed her frustration with the lack of progress in the case and her determination to keep fighting for the truth. The case of Ellen Greenberg has captured the attention of true crime enthusiasts and advocates for justice alike. It is a story of a young woman whose life was cut tragically short and a family's relentless pursuit of the truth. Despite the passage of time, the mystery surrounding Ellen's death remains unsolved, and her family continues to seek answers. In recent years, there has been a renewed interest in the case, thanks in part to the efforts of Ellen's family and supporters. Social media campaigns, podcasts, and documentaries have brought the case back into the public eye, and there is growing pressure on the authorities to reopen the investigation. But for Ellen's family, the fight for justice is far from over. Ellen Greenberg's death remains shrouded in mystery. Did she take her own life, or was it a carefully concealed murder? Until the truth is uncovered, her family and supporters will continue to seek justice for the vibrant young woman whose life was cut so tragically short.